I bought my house in January 2020. I was 23 then, and I paid the down payment of 50% from personal savings and 50% from gifts from my family. I live in a city about 2 hours away from my parents. Obviously, the global issue happened, and in July 2020 my older brother James started working as a doctor in the hospital near me. I was living alone and he'd just gone through a breakup. I thought it would be nice for us to live together. Subsequently, in September 2022, my younger sister started a new course in the city. Initially, she was commuting from my parents and staying a few nights a week with me. After a while, this got too much, so she moved in. I love my siblings. I like living with them. But is it all a bit much? I might as well live with my parents at this point, and it's all getting a bit much worse as the family seems involved in everything. The final straw is that both my siblings now have partners, as I do, so regularly there are 6 of us. And like everyone has jobs and money, we don't need to all be in one house. My boyfriend is moving in. My house is in a better location and is nicer than his apartment. I've asked my siblings if they could move out by the end of the summer, September. At first, they were both fine with this. However, now James has said he doesn't understand why I don't just move in with my boyfriend rather than kick out my brother and sister. My sister has subsequently said it's not fair because my parents help pay for the house. So my query is, am I the idiot for asking them to move out? Edit. The gift didn't come from my siblings but from my parents and grandparents. My older sister also received the same amount. My siblings who live with me would get it if they bought a property. They pay rent, it's below market and I don't include bills, but I obviously never want to take advantage, especially when they were and are both early in their careers. Not the idiot. Excuse me, James, you think OP should move out? Sis thinks it's not fair. It's time to cut the cord. Give them all the legally required notice and tell them to go. It's time for adults to adult in their own homes. James is a doctor, so I'm sure he can afford to move into his own place. That is your home. They need to leave. The nerve of him telling you to move out of your own home, with the words, "Why don't you move out?" actually came out of his mouth. He could have offered to take over the lease of your boyfriend's place. Has he and your sister forgotten that you own this home? Yeah, no, they need to go. They think that because your parents and grandparents paid half, they are entitled to your house. No, that was a gift to you, not to them, and they need to get lost in that logic. You are not moving out. They need to. If anyone in my family would tell me that and I paid for the down payment myself, I would laugh in their faces and tell them to get out of here. OP, 6 people living there, and you pay the utilities for everyone? Nope, siblings need to hit the road. Give them 30 days. You have been more than generous. So I, a teen male, still live with my family, obviously. I have chores just like my siblings. But cooking is something I do for fun and because I love and have a passion for it. I started cooking for myself 3 years ago. I had cooked before, but nothing like the last 3 years. I enjoy making breakfast, dinner, and even lunch if I have no school. My parents saw I was cooking more, and they added that to my list of chores because Mom said they didn't want to waste food, and Dad said it was rude to cook for only one person. And I didn't mind cooking for everyone, but they were so damn ungrateful. My siblings and parents alike. Complaints I got were, too spicy, wanted potatoes instead of rice, wanted rice instead of noodles, wanted beef instead of chicken, wanted something plain instead of spicy, wanted no veggies, wanted a more veggie-focused meal, wanted lasagna instead of pasta bake, didn't want soup, didn't like the flavour of soup, didn't want something sweet, wanted something sweet, changed mind and wanted meat well done, wanted more kinds of potatoes, and the list goes on. None of this was constructive either. It was whining and complaining, and I started asking what I should do. However, everyone wanted something different, and I'm still in school. I can't spend 6 hours cooking dinner on a school night, so my siblings can have pizza, fries, nuggets and tacos, and my parents can have steak and potatoes and gravy and all the trimmings, or none of the trimmings but 5 different kinds of potatoes. I even made a weekly meal plan for a while, and they would only complain after they ate it. I spoke to my family about how they were behaving, and my mom told me that's the reality of cooking for a family. She said my siblings and dad had always been like that with her. I pointed out I hadn't been, and she just said that, and she said, yeah, but it's part of life. I told her, so she decided to treat me worse than I treated her. She told me I was being difficult, and I told her no, she was taking everyone else's behavior out on me. A few times my dad or one of my siblings would say I wasn't a very good cook, and they hated eating my food. So I said I wouldn't cook anymore, and Dad and Mom would get angry and my siblings would call me lame. So I stopped cooking for them. I cook just for me again and my parents are furious. They all come home hungry and I have nothing ready for them, not even my siblings. My parents told me it was disrespectful and I couldn't continue. I said they were all the disrespectful and ungrateful ones crapping all over what I made for them. They told me I shouldn't be okay with letting them go hungry, and I said they all deserve to go hungry. My parents said it was a disgusting attitude, and they grounded me for 2 weeks. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're a minor. It's your parents' responsibility to take care of you. Cooking is a wonderful interest, and I hope your enjoyment is not ruined by your family's behavior. It's one thing to share your dishes alongside the rest of the food during meals, but another entirely to be responsible for all your family members. Unfortunately, at your age, there's not much you can do here. Once you have a part-time job and start buying your own groceries, they can't complain about it being a waste of food. To some extent, people being ungrateful and complaining about food is a fact of life. I'd expect that from siblings and kids, but not your parents. They're acting like children. They should be encouraging you and supporting your hobby, but instead they use you and treat you badly. I disagree. She said my siblings and Dad had always been like that with her. It sounds like your father started this behavior, which your siblings then modeled. The simple solution is that your father cooks since nobody else does it to his standards. Your mom had the option to not marry your father unless he changed that behavior and to teach her kids when they were little about acceptable ways to talk about her food. She chose not to. You don't have that kind of control over how everyone comes to the table, so all you can do is refuse. You are not responsible for this nasty atmosphere she's allowed around food. If your parents can't clean up the mess they've allowed, they don't get to offload the problem onto you. Last week, 2 police officers knocked on my door to inform me that my husband, Alan, was in jail for getting into a fight with another man, Ben, over a young woman, Cindy. My husband and Cindy were having an affair. Ben caught them, and my husband decided to fight him. I didn't want to see my husband at that time. We'd always been a happily married couple. Furthermore, he was never a fighter. I don't know who this man is. I visited Ben to find out what had happened. He told me that Cindy was acting suspiciously and he found out she was cheating. He knew my husband was married because of their texts. He caught them in the act and threatened to tell me. It was a bluff because he didn't actually know. My husband decided to physically fight Ben to get the phone. The neighbors called the police and both of them were arrested. Ben seemed like a sweet, earnest young man. I can't believe my husband hurt the poor thing. He didn't have any criminal history. He had a lower bond than my husband. He didn't have the money or any family to help him. I decided to bail him out instead. Eventually, my mother-in-law bailed out my husband. They've all been upset that I bailed out the other man instead of my husband. My husband has pleaded for my forgiveness. He says it's not a physical affair but an emotional one. I'm figuring out if it can be forgiven. Apparently, Ben was very manipulative and could put on an innocent face. My husband says he doesn't blame me for being manipulated but said I shouldn't have done it. I feel that is condescending. Was I the idiot for bailing out Ben? So the real issue here is not that your husband cheated on you, but that poor little you fell for B's sad puppy face and bailed him out. Right. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Your husband could teach a class on deflection and manipulation. Not the idiot. And lady, you best run. What exactly were they caught in the act of if the affair was emotional? I would have changed the locks on those doors so fast, packed his stuff and had it outside, and told him to contact me only through my lawyer. OP, your husband is a piece of crap and I hope you divorce him and get everything. Men like that are what give us good men a bad reputation. Yeah, hubby's lying. He's absolutely lying to you. He's trying to gaslight you right now. He's trying to make you seem like you were manipulated so you brush his cheating under the rug. Do not let him do it. Call friends or family you can trust and get your belongings out of the house. File for divorce. The fact that he immediately tried to gaslight you in response to his cheating is a huge red flag. Run far, far away from this man. My son, who will become a young teen in a month, has this girl, Shannon, same age, with whom he has literally been best friends since pre-K. They call each other brother and sister. We moved school districts, and because of technology, he's been able to keep in contact with her through text and call and play Fortnite and COD together. They talk every day. He came to me tonight and asked if it would be okay if we had a sleepover at her place, as long as her mom and dad were okay with it. I'm close to her parents and we go out often, all of us. I said I was absolutely okay with that. My fiancé, not my son's father, lost his crap nearly immediately. I can say with the most confident 100% certainty that absolutely nothing inappropriate would happen, but this makes zero difference to my fiancé. He says there's no reason for him to go have a sleepover at a girl's house. Keep saying, why does he need to? That's right, he doesn't. Now, I'm actually incredibly put off by my fiancé's attitude on this. I just gave birth to our daughter a few months ago. Since then, he's your typical girl dad and keeps saying, if I wouldn't let my kid do it, then I'm not going to be okay with my stepson doing it either. Or, it would be a cold day in a hot place if I let any hormonal teenager spend the night with my daughter. It really just makes me angry. I trust my son, and like I said, I know nothing inappropriate is going on there. This is his best friend, and not to pull this card, but they are not even remotely each other's type. My son is short, 4'1", Shannon is 5'9". She's a fiery red-headed Irish girl who would probably knock my son out if he ever did try anything. But if I'm being honest, it's really my fiancé's attitude about it that makes me angry the most. He's making out like my son is going to be a creep towards Shannon and has made a comment saying, "Are you ready to be a damn grandmother at your age?" My son hasn't even had his first kiss. I told my fiancé his attitude surrounding this and his initial freak-out was a turn-off. I'm thoroughly grossed out by him making this out to be something it's not. He says I'm an idiot for not seeing it for what it is and that no guy wants to spend the night with a girl he isn't interested in. Something's gonna happen. Am I the idiot for wanting my son to be able to spend the night with his friend and for being disgusted by my fiancé to the point of not even wanting to look at him over this? Not the idiot. My daughter had a best friend who was a boy around age 12. We brought him on vacations with us. He spent weeks at our lake house in the summer. It was fine. I don't think it's a big deal. Trust research shows that this is precisely how trust works. Kids are likelier to be trustworthy when parents make it clear they're trusted. And if you were concerned, I'm sure Shannon's parents would arrange for the kids to sleep in an open space in the house, like on the couches or something and not in her room. Your fiancé is doing some serious projecting and it's not good. It might be time for couples therapy before you get married. I'm sorry you already have a daughter with what sounds like a terrible guy to have a sandwich with, let alone a child. This dude sounds unhinged. He's not your son's father or stepfather for that matter. He seriously needs to back off. I hope you don't let him enforce punishments. Your boyfriend needs to stay in his lane. Anyone who subscribes to the idea that boys and girls or men and women cannot be platonic best friends is the idiot. I've been with my husband for 7 years. For the first 3 years of our relationship, his mother lived in Canada, so we didn't see her often. After that, she moved back to our home state, New Jersey. Her birthday is 2 weeks before Mother's Day, and we always end up bringing her out for her birthday. My husband, despite us not being able to afford it, treats her to a meal. And then on Mother's Day, the same thing. Let her pick the restaurant and we will treat her to a meal. For the past 2 years, I've told my husband that I'm honestly fed up with doing this. I told him that we should be considering her birthday dinner to be a part of her Mother's Day gift, since it's so close to the same date, and that, for once, I would like him to give me a special Mother's Day. Last year I was so upset about it because all he got for me on Mother's Day was $12 storage bins for our kitchen, and then we shipped right off to treat his mother to a $120 meal. He said he would make sure my Mother's Day was special this year. Well, he was online searching for a gift for his mother for Mother's Day, so I assumed that would be the only thing he did for her this year. He typically doesn't buy her gifts and just brings her out to eat. The necklace he got her was $130-ish because he had it engraved. But this morning she called him and he said, "Well, start planning where you want to go out to eat on Mother's Day so I can plan ahead." I just immediately felt gutted. I loaded up the kids and went to the playground. He called me 20 minutes later and asked where I'd gone, so I told him I went to the playground. He asked which one and said he would come down, and I told him I wanted space. When he asked why, I told him it was because once again he's doing nothing for his mom on Mother's Day, on top of already getting her an expensive gift, so I know for a fact I'm going to be left in the dust per usual. I was extremely hurt that he told me it wouldn't happen this year, and he went against that. He tried arguing that it's for both of us. Still, she literally gets the choice of the restaurant every single time. I'm basically ignored the entire time I'm there and left to deal with the kids while he's chatting it up with his mother. I could understand if she wasn't around often and that this was their chance to reconnect, but she's here nearly every other day. He says I was being ridiculous and said, "How do you know I didn't plan something for you too?" So I asked him if he had, and he said, "Well, no, but I can." I told him to forget about it and in a petty rage stated that I would just get over it, accept being an afterthought, and hung up. I then called my girlfriend and we planned to go out on Mother's Day. I haven't been out in over a year. Well, I just got home and my husband said he had something in mind that I might enjoy. I told him not to bother, as he and his mom would be in charge of the kids for the day and that I would be treating myself to a girls' day. He now says I'm wrong because I didn't give him a chance. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Good for you. I hope you have a great time. While doing something for his mother on Mother's Day is expected, the primary focus should be on his wife, the one who birthed both his children. He could have taken you all out for brunch, given his mother a gift, and then spent the rest of the day with you. Dinner, a show, whatever you're into. There are ways to balance things if he actually cared. OP, you gave him several years of chances to do something that makes you feel special too, and he failed miserably. Enjoy your Mother's Day with your friends and your littles. Also, tell your husband he can expect the same amount of energy and thought to go into Father's Day, his birthday, and any other special occasion. He might get the drift. And make sure you're out of the house before they can leave the kids with you and spoil your plans.